So, I have some questions for you. Do you easily get promoted, or do you want to easily get promoted? If that's true, please put yes in the chat. And, oh, let me see. Here's my other question. Do you want more raises? Put yes in the chat if that's true too. And do you want to feel confident and that you can handle any situation at work? Put yes in the chat if that's true for you too. So if you said yes to any of those questions, you're in exactly the right place. But before I go any further, I would like to thank Linda Fisk, the stunning and generously supportive CEO of leadHERship Global, for inviting me to speak to this wonderful community. I truly appreciate the opportunity to be here. Hi, I'm Marjorie Saulson, as Linda mentioned. This presentation is for you if you are working to build a successful corporate career and have been experiencing some obstacles along the way. If you've been passed over for promotion or not respected for your expertise and contributions at work, that changes today. As the niece of three suffragettes who fought for the right of women to vote in this country, that family history is why I'm so passionate about helping women like you keep from getting blindsided and sabotaged by unforeseen relationship dynamics. And it's because I was also in a situation where I got blindsided by relationship dynamics. I was working as a volunteer. By the way, my definition of a volunteer is someone who gets aggravated for free. But in this organization, and I was on this committee for 4 years. The last 2 years, I was the vice chair of the chair of the committee, and I assumed that the next year I would become the chair. Lo and behold, somebody who had only been on the committee for 1 year turned out to be the chair. I subsequently found out that she was in high school with a group of friends, and one of those friends made sure she got chosen as the next chair. Now, according to recent statistics reported by Uncle Google, it turns out that for every 100 men who get promoted, only 93 white women do, and only 74 women of color do. When I shared that information with a mentor of mine, his reply was part of the reason was because women don't ask for my promotions at the same rate that men do. We're not trained culturally to do that, and that needs to change. That's why I work with you to share the strategies you need for building the strategic relationships that support the growth of your career. Given the misogyny and gender bias we women face, dealing with difficult people is a skill that is a vital tool to help your corporate career building toolbox. So let me ask you, have you ever left a meeting or a conversation frustrated by your inability to find the right thing to say at the right time? And then hours later, you think of the perfect thing you should have said when it does you absolutely no good at all. Put yes in the chat if that's ever happened to you. The French have a wonderful description of this phenomenon, l'esprit d'escalier, the wit of the staircase. When you're walking down the stairs after an event, the perfect comeback pops right into your mind when it's totally useless. So you may want to take some notes because I'm going to be sharing with you some of the most annoying instances that can detract from your promotion possibilities and some perfect things you can say in those situations to protect your boundaries and get the respect that should be shown to you for your intelligence and expertise. In the short time we have together, let's dive into three very common situations women often face in the workplace. Number one, getting rudely interrupted when you're speaking. Two, when someone repeats and then takes credit for a great idea that you had originally shared. And three, when you sit in dread in a meeting or an interview, worried sick that you will be asked a question you can't answer and you're concerned that it will negatively affect your chances for a raise or promotion or a job interview or get promoted or hired in the first place. If Those are the things that happen quite often. So let's start with interruptions. Interrupting somebody is not only bad manners, it's a question of both boundaries and respect. The hard truth is that allowing someone to interrupt you is allowing that person to disrespect you. There you are, presenting your well thought out report, your idea, response, or brilliant suggestion, and someone rudely interrupts you in the middle of a sentence or when you pause to take a breath. The goal is to steal everyone's attention and make you look small. So don't let this person trample over your boundaries. Don't allow your training in good manners to sabotage your response by waiting for this person to pause. He won't. And by the time he finishes, the recognition of your expertise and brilliance will be lost. Instead, immediately, and I mean immediately, hold up your hand and in a very firm voice say, "Stop, I have not finished speaking." Then immediately start speaking again yourself, saying very firmly, "As I was saying," referring to what you'd been saying before you were interrupted. Now, if this person tries again, up the power, the firmness, not the volume of your response. "I said stop. You are welcome to share your ideas after I have finished speaking." Then immediately start speaking again. If you are very fortunate, someone in the room will tell that person who tried to interrupt you to shut up. Now, there are a couple of strategies you can use to help prevent these rude interruptions. First, make sure that you are as clear and concise as possible in sharing your ideas. For example, when you mention you have been thinking about a challenge that's come up, you can say that you've thought a suggestion about how it can be handled. You have created curiosity. So it will probably be safe to pause before you share your suggestion. If you're making a formal presentation of any kind, mention the number of ideas you will be sharing and then refer to those numbers as you introduce each section. Using an oral outline like that in your remarks will let people know that you are not finished until all of the items on your list have been covered. An extra benefit of that suggestion, having that list in your head, helps you to remember what you actually plan to cover in your remarks. Now, that's interruptions. Let's go on to what's called idea plagiarism. What's that? It's when you present an idea that somehow falls kind of flat, and sometime later someone else, someone I call a credit snitcher, often a guy, presents the same or very similar idea, and sometimes suddenly it's the best thing since Swiss cheese. So what can you do? Claiming to be the first person to present the idea would certainly be awkward. Instead, in this situation, use a strategy I call using good manners as a weapon. "Oh, John, thank you so much for remembering the idea that I shared whenever you shared it. I am so flattered that you remembered it and shared it in a way that clarified its value." What can the credit snitcher possibly say when you've used words both of appreciation and thrown in a clever compliment as well? I mean, not much. And the real benefit of this approach? Without sounding snarky, it reminds everybody in the room whose expertise came up with that brilliant idea in the first place. And it wasn't the credit snitcher, it was you. And that brings us to the third situation you sometimes face. Being asked a question for which you don't have a handy dandy answer pop quickly right into your head. One of my clients brought this issue to my attention. He works in the audio industry for one of the big three. And if you're from Michigan, Detroit, that means Ford, GM, and the company formerly known as Chrysler. I don't know what the current name is now. It's changed so often. He told me he would sit in dread in company meetings, afraid that he would be asked a question he couldn't answer, and this would negatively affect his chances for a raise or a promotion. So I came up with the following system. First of all, before you use this system, assess the question. Is it in your area of expertise or part of the work of your department? We humans hate to admit when we don't know something. And if the four words, I made a mistake, are the four hardest words for us humans to put in a sentence, I don't know may be the three hardest words for us to say. But fake it till you make it is no way to build trust. People's spidey sense will tune in. And contrary to what you may think will happen if you admit you don't know something, you will actually build trust with people because they will know that you will only share information that you know to be true. What you can do in this circumstance is simply say that this topic is outside of your expertise or the work of some other department, or that your department will be dealing with that issue sometime down the road. If it's a good question to which you probably should know the answer, use the ACE system, which I came up for this gentleman, like ACED, like you aced the test. A is for acknowledgement. You hear the step being used all the time in practically every interview being done. Words such as thank you for asking or thank you for your interest in this topic are common. These replies are not simply good manners. Their true value is that they buy the person who said it time to think of an answer. So A is for acknowledgement. C is for clarify. Is it a good question? The truth is you cannot give a good answer to a bad question. When someone asks you what I call an Encyclopedia Britannica question that is so broad it would take hours to answer it, simply say that you're not sure what specific information about that topic that person wants to know, and then request that they clarify about what exact information they're asking about. So C is for clarify. E is for elicit, spelled E-L-I-C-T, meaning to draw forth, not I-L-L-I-C-T, meaning illegal. So if you have not yet received a divine download of the perfect answer, and you're still stumped, you can simply ask the person who asked the question if that person already has some ideas about the answer, or if anyone else in the room may have the answer. So E is for elicit, and if you don't have an answer, then it's on to D. D is for deliver or delay. If a divine download has shown up in your brain, then with great confidence and gratitude you share it. Or if this is something you really ought to know, promise to get back with an answer by a certain date, and then make sure you do it. Getting it done before that date earns you extra points. So A is for acknowledge, C is for clarity, E is for elicit, draw forth, not illegal. D is for deliver or delay. My auto company client reported back to me that this system allowed him to attend company meetings unburdened by the dread that he used to feel before he had the ACE strategy to depend on. However, sadly, not all questions are appropriate. I'm sorry to tell you that, but you probably know that already. So sometimes in business, somebody could ask a question about something regarding proprietary information that you're not allowed to share. That's a true boundary issue. And if an unauthorized person wants to know that, you should have absolutely no hesitation about saying, uh, I could certainly answer that, but it would put me at risk of losing my job. And frankly, I prefer to keep my job rather than answer your question. If the person keeps pushing in your most exasperated but not loud tone, you can probably say some version, Bob, really, Bob, I prefer to keep my job, so stop bugging me because I'm not going to answer your totally inappropriate question. Now, in both your business and your personal life, there are people who ask what I describe as none of your business question. So, when are you two going to stop just living together and finally get married? So, when are you going to have a baby? Given the publicity around the problems some people have with getting pregnant, hopefully there's nobody left in this world who's so unkind to ask that really cruel question for people who've been trying and can't do it. These questions are clear violations of your personal boundaries. Yet how you answer has a good possibility of either tainting a personal relationship or starting a family feud. My advice is simply answer this type of totally inappropriate question in a soft and very sincere tone. I truly appreciate your interest and concern, and I would also appreciate you respecting my right to keep very personal information personal. Now, nosy Parkers can be very persistent. And sometimes, especially Aunt Tilly or Uncle Ned, they come back and they ask the question again. So that's when you may have to use the broken record technique. Now, if you are too young that you're not familiar with what a broken record does when the needle hits a bad spot on the record. It just keeps playing the same little snippet over and over and over. So use the broken record technique with pushy people. And if or when they keep pushing, don't raise your voice. Just repeat exactly what you just said in the same calm tone of voice, and then change the subject, asking the nosy person another question altogether. And if you're feeling really snarky and exasperated, you can turn the tables and ask your own totally appropriate. So tell me, that relative of yours who got in trouble with the law, is he still in jail? Well, you're not going to really do that. I believe you got to have humor in every day. So I wanted to share that one with you. So I've just shared techniques for these three specific situations for you. Dealing with first handling interruptions in a speedy and firm manner. Second, using good manners as a weapon for politely calling out credit snitchers. And third, dealing with questions for which you don't know the answer but probably should. Now, all of these strategies are strategies that can help you build the career you desire. They protect your reputation from for being an expert in your field and set very firm boundaries around disrespectful behavior. But they are certainly not the only awkward situations that you find in life and in business. So, as a bonus, allow me to share a cheat sheet of go-to generic phrases you can write down and use in various other situations that pop up to exasperate you. The first one is, help me understand, is a handy generic response, especially when someone asks you about your ideas or criticizes them or comes up with an opposing idea. For example, help me understand your concern. Help me understand why you think that this is a better option. And when somebody insults you or says something, really inappropriate, use a disbelieving tone of voice. What did you say? And just don't say anything else. What did you say? And pause. If the person is suitably embarrassed, they may apologize. But if that person digs in, and we all know stubborn people who dig in when they shouldn't, you can say, you said that again. Or why did you choose to make a bad situation even worse? When somebody tries to bully you or starts yelling at you, and this happened to one of my clients who was working on uh, a committee with, where she was hoping to get, you know, leads. And she didn't want to quit after this guy, unloaded on her. And I suggested that she say, I'm really puzzled about why you were yelling at me the other day. He actually apologized to her for doing it. But the other thing you can possibly say, and again in a very calm voice, I'm really puzzled. What could I have ever possibly said or done that would allow you to think that it's okay to speak to me with such disrespect. I mean, call out the bully on his bullying. Don't let these people get away with it. You have to be strong, but you have to remember that tone of voice is crucial. If you say, help me understand, you know, that's confrontational. Puzzled tone of voice, help me understand. Or I'm really puzzled. People get more meaning from the tone of your voice than the actual words you use. So keep in mind now that there's a general rule that I learned from my late Aunt Catherine. She's the oldest of my three aunts who were suffragettes. When you lose your temper, you lose. Nobody wins in a shouting match. Nobody. And if you're a woman, the way the women are described when they shout is witch with a B. I mean, the gender bias and how women are described for the same behavior that men do is amazing. Men show qualities of leadership. Women are show-offs. Men are assertive. Women are aggressive. So you've got to be really careful about losing your temper because it's a real loss, especially if you're a woman. So earlier on, I asked you a few yes or no questions. Do you want to easily get promoted? Do you want to get raises, more raises? Do you want to feel more confident in any situation and that you can handle any situation at work? If you found yourself saying yes to any of these, I have a gift for you. It's called Unheard, Undervalued and Unheard. It's time for a change. And it's a game plan. It's a concept I borrowed from sports. In sports, a coach has different plays for different situations. When you look at a football lineup, there's always some guys running around changing their position. In hockey, the goalie never seems to stop moving. It's really obvious in tennis where the players are moving all around where they think the ball is going, especially when they're going to the opponent is going to serve. So this is a bunch of separate uh, strategies that I've picked up over the years. And so I'm looking at my cheat sheet. uh, so there are a whole bunch of strategies in this game plan. And some of them oh, I'm already doing that. Maybe you're doing it, but are you doing it in an intentional way? And oh, that's something I need to start doing. The thing is, you want to build relationships for people who will support your career and you on your career journey. And you want to make sure that you are being treated with the respect that you deserve for your expertise and your contributions to the organization. So you can grab your copy of this game plan by going to my website, vibrantvocalpower.com, and adding a forward slash and the word position, because you're positioning yourself for a raise or a promotion. So that's vibrantvocalpower.com forward slash position. And I believe that the wonderful Linda Fisk has put those in the chat. And also, if you'd like to chat with me, I'd love to meet with you. There's a link for my calendar. Remember, you have a voice. You have a vision of the future you wish to create. It's time to use your voice in an intentional, powerful way so that bottom line, you turn the career you're dreaming of into your reality.